Under the cover of darkness, a U.S. government plane touched down at San Salvador International Airport carrying 261 men accused of ties to criminal gangs. Of these, 238 were alleged members of Tren de Aragua, Venezuela's most notorious transnational syndicate, while 23 were suspected affiliates of MS-13, a gang with deep roots in Central America. The deportees, their wrists bound in steel cuffs, were swiftly transferred to a convoy of armored vehicles and driven to El Salvador's Terrorism Confinement Center, or CECOT, a sprawling mega prison designed to hold up to 40,000 inmates. The deportation is part of a $6 million deal between the United States and El Salvador, with the U.S. paying roughly $20,000 per inmate for a one-year stay, renewable annually. The arrangement allows the U.S. to offload suspected gang members, particularly Venezuelans, whom it has struggled to repatriate due to sever diplomatic ties with Venezuela's Maduro regime. But the operation has sparked intense controversy, with critics accusing the Trump administration of bypassing due process and defying a federal court order, while human rights groups warn of dire conditions awaiting the deportees in CECOT. The deportations were carried out under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a wartime law that permits the president to detain or deport citizens of an enemy nation without judicial oversight. The Trump administration invoked the law, declaring Tren de Aragua a foreign terrorist organization and alleging its conducts irregular warfare against the U.S. on behalf of Venezuela. Legal experts have called the move unprecedented, noting that the law, last used during World War II to intern Japanese Americans, has never been applied in peacetime. The American Civil Liberties Union and other advocacy groups have condemned the deportations, arguing that many of the men have been wrongfully accused, with no opportunity to defend themselves in court. Adding fuel to the fire, a federal judge in Washington, D.C. issued a 14-day injunction to halt the deportations, ordering any planes in the air to turn back. But the flights had already landed in El Salvador, prompting accusations that the administration deliberately defied the court. The Justice Department countered that the deportees were already removed from U.S. territory before the order was issued. The exchange underscored the political theater surrounding the operation, with Bukele positioning himself as a regional strongman willing to take on the U.S.'s unwanted, and the Trump administration eager to showcase its tough-on-crime stance ahead of elections. For the deportees, the reality is far grimmer. CECOT, located 75 kilometers southeast of San Salvador, is the centerpiece of Bukele's aggressive anti-gang campaign, which has seen over 84,000 arrests since 2022. The prison, often compared to a fortress, holds inmates in conditions that human rights organizations have decried as inhumane. Reports describe severe overcrowding, with prisoners packed into cells, their heads shaved, and their movements restricted by shackles. Allegations of torture, lack of medical care, and deaths in custody have surfaced, though the Salvadoran government dismisses such claims as exaggerated. Bukele has defended the facility, arguing it is necessary to combat gang violence, which has historically plagued El Salvador. The country's homicide rate has plummeted under his tenure, but critics warn that the crackdown has ensnared thousands of innocent people, often based on flimsy evidence or mere suspicion. The U.S.-El Salvador deal raises broader questions about the ethics of outsourcing detention. Why is El Salvador, a nation grappling with its own gang problem, willing to take in foreign criminals? Some analysts see it as a financial boom for Bukele's government, while others view it as a bid to curry favor with the U.S., particularly as El Salvador seeks to maintain favorable trade and aid relationships. But the human cost is undeniable. Social media posts and reports from advocacy groups suggest that some deportees claim to be innocent, caught up in a dragnet that prioritizes speed over justice. Without due process, their fates are sealed, their identities reduced to numbers in a foreign prison. The deportations also highlight the challenges of addressing transnational crime in an era of mass migration. Tren de Aragua, born in Venezuela's lawless prisons has expanded across Latin America, with U.S. authorities alleging its members have infiltrated the U.S. via the southern border. But the lack of transparency in identifying and deporting suspects has fueled skepticism. Is the operation a legitimate security measure or a political stunt designed to stoke fear and justify draconian policies? As the planes depart and the convoy rolls towards CECOT, the answers remain as murky as the jungle night. Thank you for watching 3 Letter News. Subscribe for more daily breaking news content.